Final Fantasy XIV has a big community. When Shadowbringers released, the number of subscribed players reached 18 million, and the game has seen massive success since its relaunch in 2013. Did I say relaunch? Oh yeah, Final Fantasy XIV as we know and love it today is not the game that it was when it originally launched. The infamy surrounding the launch of Final Fantasy XIV Online within the community is monumental. So much so that an entire documentary was made by NoClip to uncover the details about the colossal failure of a game that Final Fantasy once was, and how it rose out of its own ashes to become the phoenix that we know it as today. If that all sounds interesting to you, I implore you to go watch the documentary series, because while I was doing research for this video, I realized that the Final Fantasy XIV community on YouTube is actually quite small. Maybe I should correct myself. The community itself may not be small, but the Western audience, just based on what I've seen, seems rather small in the large scope of the YouTube scene today. Hell, one of the trailers for their biggest expansions yet, Shadowbringers, only has about 2 million views. That is criminally under-received, and the lack of widespread recognition is reflected in the rest of the community's videos. From what I've seen, and bear in mind that this is mostly coming from the first-hand experience of a person in Australia, but from what I've seen, the community of creators involved with the Final Fantasy XIV content barely receives a spotlight, with most creators' videos not breaching 1 million views. To be perfectly clear, this isn't a complaint. Any views are good views. No one is obligated 1 million views, and I fear that I might come across like a pretentious asshole if people think that I'm obsessing over views. No, my mind is simply drawn to comparative communities based around games with massive followings, much in the same vein as the Final Fantasy XIV community. Maybe the content is bad. Well, maybe. I personally attribute to the very topic that I'm talking about because I don't often consume Final Fantasy XIV content on YouTube. There are some YouTubers that I like, some that I dislike, and sometimes I'll just look up videos to get specific information. So maybe that's it. Informative videos about specific Final Fantasy XIV related content has more of a demand than general fan content like, say, Mr. Face or the dancing videos. It's possible for sure. It would make the most sense for audiences to be drawn to videos that directly benefit them rather than ones that are simply for entertainment. Whatever the reason for it, it saddens me. There are people in our community putting in dozens of hours of work to create amazing content, and I want to see that content blow up. I want to see them receive a large scope of recognition for their hard work because they deserve it. I want their work to spread outside the community, bring in new players, inspire veterans to return. I want them to have an impact outside of our niche community more than they already do. Because the truth is, I love this community. I've been streaming Final Fantasy XIV, just doing dailies and leveling my alt classes. Whenever I tell them, hey, I'm streaming at the moment if you want to check it out, the response I receive falls into one of two categories: neutral or positive. If you've ever tried promoting your Twitch, you'll understand how insane that sounds. People see it as attention-seeking, annoying, scummy, self-related, and that's honestly understandable to a degree. But on other games, on other platforms, people are often negative. If you try promoting yourself on League at the start or end of games, people will shame you for it, call you names, tell you to kill yourself. Most of the time, in my experience, when trying to direct new people to my stream while playing a game, their response is almost always either neutral or negative. But Final Fantasy XIV is unlike any other game that I've played. It has a community that's unlike any other community that I've been a part of. When I tell people I'm streaming, if I get a response, it's always positive. Even if people are saying no, they're not critical about it, they just simply decline. That's why I love this community. That's why I want this community to thrive. That's why I want the content creators within this community to reach an audience outside of this game. Not so I can shill my shitty stream or my videos, but because I want more people to feel what I feel whenever I meet new people in dungeons or even just fucking around in Limsa. When I meet them, it feels like meeting an old friend that I haven't seen in a long time. I can see how this video might come across like I'm desperate for views or attention, but believe me, I love this community so much that I could never receive another view in my life, and I would still root for everyone who's making content. You all inspire me, so thank you. I love this community, and I want you to love it as well. Thanks for watching.